have you seen all this stuff that I've been posting the last few days about this like NIFB church?
Which, I'm sorry, you'll have to refresh my memory.
It's Justin Zong. It was like preaching clips of this guy in like a MAGA hat. Have you seen any of that?
Yeah, I have.
So like a couple of members of his church, I think like 2 or 3 now, have like joined my Patreon to see and I'm like, you're literally paying me monthly.
That's amazing.
To watch my content. Like that's top
amazing.
Tier hating. And then one guy literally, I don't know if I posted this or not. One guy set up his Patreon name to be Eric is a piece of shit. And I was like, I sent it to my friend. I was like, he literally paid me $5 a month to say something he could have said for free, like many others do all day long.
For real. That's actually, he's fangirling right now. I think that's what that is. Well, I think you have a fan. It's
kind of the joke, like my friend talks about, because like they're so homophobic in that denomination, but like it's such crush behavior, like the way that they treat
it really is
people. And it's really like if you're squealing loudly about something like that, sometimes I think you're most angry with yourself, but whatever.
I mean, I would be very angry too if I couldn't live my authentic self. Like it is something to get angry about. Plus, clearly they don't like women. They hate women based on how they treat women. So
yeah, because they're angry they can't get women.
Exactly.
It's a cycle here. But all that said, this is a great segue to intro the show with, because we're just chit-chatting about all this culty stuff already. So I had you on at some point in the past.
You've never had me on, Eric, actually. I had you on.
Okay, this isn't funny because I had you on my show.
No, sir. I don't think so.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Wait, hold on. Let me double check.
I'm not salty or bitter about it at all.
This is the second time. I thought you were messing with me right now.
No.
So this is so funny because April Avia, who is in Let Us Pray, who is a very close friend at this point, we met for the first time in person at a protest during the filming of the documentary. And I literally was like standing with a group of people. I said, oh, I know you, obviously you've been on the show. You've been on the show. April's obviously been on the show. And she said, Eric, I've never been on the show. And I was like, yes, you have. And she said, no, I haven't. And I said, yes, you have. And I started looking and I was like, we've never had an interview. We've just talked offline.
Wow.
This is really confusing.
What I'm hearing is certain people, aka April, Kindra, are invisible to you. And
I guess
it is a little hurtful, I will say.
But that's why. Oh, you know what? See, and this is dumb.
Forgives your sins, but I don't.
That's why I wrote you. That's why I wrote you, because I literally said when I reached out for this one, I said, "Hey, this just reminded me I haven't had you on." Okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome
and
to
then
the show.
And then after you said that, you still didn't have me on, and then something I posted. I don't know.
And then that's right. It reminded me again. That's what's so funny.
I'm the same way. I'm not even judging. I can't be mad at you too long.
Well, we're even, like you said before we hit record, you accidentally deleted our entire first conversation. So like,
I thought we weren't going to talk about that.
Okay.
Why are we living in the past?
It's fine. I forgive you. You forgive me. It's all good,
Rookie mistake.
I can't believe that. So you've never been on the show. Nobody knows who you are in my audience. Great.
Yeah, I'm a nobody.
So that's not true. So for anybody who's listening and tuning in, we're off to a great start. Kendra is amazing. You've got a YouTube channel that is growing quickly, catching up very quickly to me. I was panicked about it a little bit looking at it this morning. So I've got to really step up my game. Your Instagram is actually where I first started seeing your stuff. And it was because you were doing content about celebrities that were in cults that you didn't know about. I started watching that. And I really just enjoy all of that kind of like scripted true crime content that you're putting out, because you do it in a way that doesn't feel just like dirty and gross. Because I don't like a lot of true crime that just feels like spooky and horrible. It's like more funny and like making fun of dorky cult leaders. And I vibe with that. So for someone who is listening, they can clearly hear your full story over on a variety of podcasts like Indoctrination or Cults to Consciousness. but give someone like a 5-minute trauma dump. Like, who is Kendra? What formed you? And what was kind of like your context for the cultiverse?
I was formed in my mother's womb, if you must know. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, well, we don't have to go back that far. I said 5 minutes. We're going to go a little
You said,
further.
what formed you? And I took that literally. Yeah, so to your point, I actually have a playlist on my podcast on for all the channels that I've been a guest on if you want to hear my specific story. But just for trauma dumping purposes, essentially, I grew up in a off-grid cult in Arkansas. My entire life, I was homeschooled from start to finish. My family really couldn't decide which cult they resonated with the most, so we kind of cult hopped around for a while and took bits and pieces from everything from like the Amish to the Duggars to, we went to an independent fundamental Baptist church for a big portion of my childhood. We did home church, no electricity, no running water, like just everything you can imagine. A lot of corporal punishments and just, a lot of women hating type of things, which often happens in all of these kind of groups. So I ran away when I was 18. I put a couple of things in a garbage bag, literally ran away from home, left a note, and I never went back. And so now I'm 36. Yeah, I think I just turned 36. Now I'm 36. And it was weird. I realized this year I've been out away from my family as long as I was in it. And that was kind of a weird moment for me this year is realizing that. So I've come a long way since then, but you still have moments where it's like, what the hell? Like, what has all of this been for? Have I made any progress?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that catches us up.
Yeah. Yeah. For everybody that didn't hear the episode we never did on my show, that's like a good overview. And seriously, if you haven't heard Kendra's full story, like, I mean, which podcast do you think best covers your story? Somebody's like, I'm going to go listen to one.
It kind of depends, because I think the various podcasts that I've been on to share my story, each host kind of goes at it from a different angle. Some like my very early childhood, some about specifically my parents or their corporal punishment and, the material associated with that. So I think for the early childhood stuff, and that was the first interview I ever did was with Cults to Consciousness. So I was just a little baby Kindra then, and not as great at articulating my story. So that one, it to me now feels pretty clunky, but it is very raw and very, still my story. And then I have one coming out on September 11th with Indoctrination. And I think that one does a much better job of communicating my story, in a more concise and better way.
I've been kind of toying with this, and I was telling you before we hit record, and just for listener context, like I've done a lot of interviews like you have. You've done a lot on your channel where you sit and kind of chronologically go through the story. And I'm going to keep doing those because there's a lot of people who don't have public platforms who want to share their story. But I find when I reach out to people like yourself, or, I think of like an Ashley Easter or a Shalise, like down the line, it's like we've all shared our personal story like a million times because we are public figures and we do go on shows and we talk about it. And so it's like sometimes you sit down and you're like, let me go back to the beginning and catch everybody up on my entire life. And so what I've really been thinking about doing for that reason, and for the reason there's people I connect with that I just want to talk to again, I thought about like structuring some episodes that are a little bit like less chronological, deep interview, and more, like I said, catch us up to speed on where we're at. Let's dive into some clips, some like rapid fire questions. We can kind of talk more about what we want to talk about instead of ourselves, and try it out. But this is the first time I've ever tried this format. So, if you're listening to this,
unless you've forgotten about it.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
Once that episode come out, it's gone.
Yeah.
This is funny though, because people get legitimately mad at me for like ignoring them. And I'm like, I'm not.
It's not intentional.
Yeah. Well,
it's not intentional.
Maybe for some of them it is, but yeah,
they'll never know.
It's really funny though. Like some people will be like, you didn't respond to me in 3 days. And I was like, I haven't responded to my mom in 4 days. So it's going to be a minute.
Listen, I literally have to put on my ADHD is so clinically bad, even with medication. I have to put on my agenda every day when this is so embarrassing. I've never even told my best friend. I will put on there, text Lisa back or text Christina back, like my best friends. Yeah. Otherwise, because it's just not even floating around my brain because I'm side questing on a million other projects.
Right.
So it's never intentional with most of y'all, but if I don't put it on the list, it's not going to happen.
I'm the same way. Time blocking stuff. Like I'm going to take 25 minutes and only do this. I got to remember. And I always lose track of time. So it's like, I thought I wrote them. I had a conversation in my head in the shower about it, but I never actually sent the text.
Oopsie.
We have a connection point, which is the thing that reminded me to connect with you. It's amazing I can remember this, but nothing else. But I shared to my Instagram the other day a picture from my Bible, which I was going through before moving. And there was a quote. It's like the very first quote in my Bible, and it's from John Bishop. And I shared it because I had this Bible at a time where I was in a very dark place as a teenager. And the first quote written in the front of my Bible is "Suicide is a lack of faith" by John Bishop.
Whoa.
Which I was just like, it was just crazy. Like I literally opened my Bible and was like, oh, there's some trauma from the past immediately.
Starting off strong.
But then you're like, John Bishop baptized me. And I was like, it's a small world. So at what point in that journey with your family testing out a billion different culty versions of Christianity did you end up connected with John Bishop? And like, is there anything beyond like, a random baptism day? Like, did you go to the camp there? Like,
oh, we went to his church, his actual church in Heber Springs, Arkansas for me being so bad with time. I know it was several years for sure. And I was really young. It's hard to tell in that photo. I think I sent you the photo of him actually baptizing me, but I think I was like maybe 8, 9, somewhere in there. But yeah, and then we went to his summer camps maybe a year or two. And and that was even before, I don't know if you knew him before or after he had meningitis, but I know he got meningitis and then he started having his speech was really, he was struggled with his speech after that. So we went to his church before, during, and after that happened. Yeah. So yeah. And I remember my mom was like obsessed with John Bishop's wife, Donna. I don't know if you ever met her. John always referred to Donna as my Donna. And my mom thought that was the most like adorable thing and wanted my dad to do that, which didn't happen. But it was like my parents idolized the Bishops for sure, and their summer camp. So, which for many years we weren't even allowed to go to camp and be away from our parents. But I think I went 1 or 2 years maybe out there. So
yeah, I only knew him post meningitis because I was, it was October 1995 that he got meningitis. I was born in March 1995. I was a couple months old when that happened. His story, because he would come to Masters Men Conference in Fresno, California, which is like a men's meeting that we would drive down to. And he would always preach. And like, it was all, which post that event, his story was always like, he was introduced as he lost his memory. He did this, but then he relearned how to like read and write. And it's a very cool story in that sense of like what happened. But he would preach, at the conferences every year and was like, basically I felt like the point of every message and the way they would introduce him was like, no matter how bad you think you have it, this guy's got it
John has it
worse. But looking at his, like just looking at that note though, I was like, that's such a crazy message to have taken to heart at such a young age and to be like, it's just not enough faith. I just don't have enough faith to be, not depressed.
You know what's so weird about that too is when I saw that post, then I was like putting the kind of the time frame together and stuff. This is about to get real heavy for like 2 seconds, and then we can go back to jokes. But I tried to kill myself when I was 8, which is around the same time based on when you said he had meningitis and when I would have been baptized by him, I would have been 7-ish. And so within a year of that, I like tried to drown myself in the bathtub, and I didn't. A lot of the reason why I didn't is because of the guilt that comes with that of like, plus, you know, we were always taught that if you kill yourself, you go to hell anyway. So there's that. But so yeah, the timeline definitely makes sense. And that was the same age I, you know, quote unquote, got saved. And that was all. I still remember that experience vividly because I was terrified. That was the only reason I got saved, is because I woke up with night terrors one night and then went to my parents' room and was terrified I was going to go to hell. So all of that transpired at a very young age. And thanks, John Bishop, for being such a big part of that. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the stuff like I think about now is like, it's, and as a parent now, it's like, I just can't imagine the psychological terror that I felt. And it's something that I didn't even realize was really there until talking to people outside of it, where it's like, yeah, I was terrified of going to hell when I died. And it's like, what, you know, or
that's
like,
not normal,
or like the rapture stuff. Or
oh my God. Yeah.
You know, and then like, I overthink stuff all the time. Like I have full conversations in my head, you know, and it's like, I'm letting too much slip about my mental well-being on this episode already. I feel like they're like, he talks to himself. He has no sense of time. He's he's antisocial and doesn't respond to messages. But also, no, so like I would sit there and I would tie myself in knots about like the pastors that would say about salvation, like if you earnestly meant it, you know, right. And I would sit there and go like, did I mean it enough?
Yes.
Or,
yes.
Or did I cry? I didn't cry that time. Should I have been crying, but am I making myself cry? And, you know, even the stuff like, even the suicide conversation, because that was something I thought about a lot when things really hit the fan in, you know, my late teenage years. But I would sit there and you would hear like, well, I am saved, so if I were to, I would go to heaven. But also some pastors would say, if you're saved, you wouldn't have the desire to do that. If you, it was like everything was always this game of like, am I enough to accomplish whatever? Like, am I not being blessed because I'm not doing enough? Am I not doing that? And I think for, you know, I think for people that think that way, like the people that do overthink things and do, you know, overwork things in their mind, like that's a really scary environment that like, again, like I realize now, like, oh, that bothered me. I didn't realize because it's such a part of my DNA to like think that way.
And it creates overthinkers too. And then you question yourself on everything. Like I got saved probably half a dozen, you know, times because I always would question myself. Like, was it genuine? Did I actually mean that? You know, was it for real? Well, what if I got it wrong? If I wasn't genuine about it or genuine enough about it, then I'm still going to go to hell. So let me just, you know, double up on it and make sure.
Double up. Yeah. Yeah. Let's bubble wrap this thing and make sure we're really good to go.
Yeah. Let's increase my odds.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. But anyway, to make things lighter, and we're going to talk for a second, then we're going to go like 10 minutes on dark topics. I have some clips that I pulled. I pulled like a grab bag of clips that I've seen.
I love it.
Like, cause I always find clips and I don't know where to put them in the show. And then I was like, what if I did like the most disturbed America's Funniest Home Videos of just preacher clips and just watch and comment on them. And I was thinking like, do I do a theme? Cause the NIFB world is like, so popping right now with my stuff.
It's popping.
It's popping. Seriously. Well, I'm going to share this clip because if people haven't seen it, they can go back and watch it. But like, did you watch any of the clips that I shared? And this is not, I won't hold you.
I haven't.
Accountable.
I mean, you haven't had me on your channel, so it's not like you can even judge me. But
we're on even ground. Let's not bring up the past.
Well, is it even? No, I'm kidding. I think I saw one of them that you posted today. Actually, oh God, here we go.
Well, here,
and your caption, yes, because your caption cracked me up. I remember.
I got to share this because if somebody doesn't know, this is the insanity where I was like, I could pull like 20 clips from this, but yeah, this
Deuteronomy
is
13, verse 1.
good stuff.
If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer or dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign of the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, Let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them.
Wait, before he continues, what do you think of this aesthetic from a design perspective?
Between two firms?
Yeah.
That's the thing that comes to mind. It's so minimalistic. Honestly, they're so close to being
like it's almost right. Like
it's almost right. The vents are kind of detracting for me personally, but that's just a personal preference. But the whitewashed walls are really giving Asylum.
Yeah, like Arkham Asylum, like Gotham City vibes for sure.
Shall not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for the Lord your God proveth you to know whether ye love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Ye shall walk after the Lord your God and fear him and keep his commandments and obey his voice, and ye shall serve him and cleave unto him. Notice verse number 5, and that prophet or the dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he hath spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God. The Bible says if you are a false prophet, you will also be put to death. Right. If I'm elected, I will put Ray Comfort, John MacArthur, Amen. Gene Kim, Amen. Joyce Meyer, Amen. Joel Osteen, Keith Gomez, or Pope Francis if he's in the U.S., to death.
Oh.
If I'm elected, I will retaliate against my political opponents. If I become the president, I will put Donald Trump to death. Donald Trump has 5 children from 3 different marriages. He is an adulterer, and the adulterer shall surely be put to death. I will also put Joe Biden to death. He has 4 children from 2 marriages. He is an adulterer. He has also committed other crimes that are worthy of death.
Just a little lighthearted little conversation there, buddy.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, where's the line between like freedom of speech and like
terroristic threats?
Because I was like sitting there, I was like, I feel like if this was like in a mosque, this guy would be in prison like that day. Like I can't
immediately.
Yeah. So I was
who is this guy? Like why is he speaking as if he was elected president of what? The United States?
So here's the 60-second version. The NIFB is the new IFB. Like It's like new Coke. It's the same thing, but a little bit different. They're all the same King James only services 3 times a week, going soul winning, but they also ramp up stuff where like they're way more homophobic. They're super like outspoken. Like when there was like the shootings at like the gay nightclubs, there was literally pastors getting up saying, thank God for it. Like they teeter into almost the Westboro vibe of just like attention hungry stuff. And so Justin Zong is like a peon in that movement. Like there's like the big names like the Steven Andersons, and then you've got like the guys that are trying to be big names like Aaron Thompson, who built a bunch of satellite churches from his church, and Justin Zong is like a church leader that operates one of Aaron Thompson's churches. So he's like a nobody in that world. Yeah. But his whole sermon premise was like, obviously he's being sarcastic about like, I'm going to run for president, because he's not really running for president. But his whole sermon was like, if I were president, what would America look like? Right. And so he goes on rants about women, about putting people to death. Like, and that stuff that, as crazy as the NIFB is, like historically, the capital punishment stuff he went hard on in this sermon. And I was like, I don't feel like you can say you're going to put the president and former president to death. I feel like that's a line you can't cross in this country.
That's crazy. And also, I guess we're just like skating by the whole thou shalt not kill thing. So
it was a weird one. And I was like debating covering it because it was like, he is a nobody. And then I was also like, I know they want the attention. That's like why you get up and say that and throw on.
Exactly.
But sometimes it's so weird. You're like, I have to do it. I know they're going to love the attention, but I have to do it. And then this morning I get up and I play their sermon and they're like ranting about preacher boys. And I was like, let's go.
Ooh.
Like, I like these little beefs.
Are you famous now?
Yeah. All because of them, but it's funny because like the stakes have never been lower. Like they're such nobodies. And a friend of mine was like, it's like being in a boxing match, but your opponent's a baby. And
it's not even fair.
It's not
like,
fair. I'm Rocky Balboa, and they are a small child in a stroller. It's
but is he wearing a MAGA hat? Like,
this is the other part that's confusing. Is his whole premise in the beginning is like, I should have just had you watch the whole sermon with me and make you suffer along with me. But his whole sermon starts with he's like, I'm going to make America great again and make it Christian again and all this stuff. But then he goes on a rant about like putting Trump to death. And I'm like, if you hate the guy that much, why are you wearing the merch? Because it's very confusing.
Right. And taking his line, like just come up with something else. Like murder the president, since that's what he wants to do.
I mean, you could do what some pastors have done, which is like, America was never great. It needs to be a Christian nation. Like, then you've at least got some kind of angle, but it's just a little bit of cross messaging there.
I mean, just if I can give him some advice, it's just a little confusing. And I don't know that you will rise to the level of fame that you're really wanting here. So maybe revamp the decor. That would be my first suggestion. And then maybe wardrobe next. Just
the short sleeve with the clip on is not the vibe.
It's not doing it, man. It's not doing it for me. Sorry.
That's a fun clip, but I'm going to let you pick a category and I'm going to drop a clip. So, do you want to watch a pervy pastor, a culty pastor, a racist pastor, or a pastor getting tased at the US-Mexican border for refusing to cooperate with officials?
The last one. And it's a no-brainer, and all of those sound god awful.
And hey, we might hit all of them at some point.
You know what? Let's
let you start. So this is great. And you actually I need to pick that last one because I named it such a long name.
I will always pick whoever's getting tased. Shit.
So Steven Anderson was like the big name in the NIFB. And again, this is one of those clips that I watch all the time, like no joke. And I have for years. Since like 2013, I've been watching this clip. And he is one of like the big name NIFB pastors. Like he did like whole sermons on Obama, like all this kind of stuff. But he's also like a hardcore like libertarian guy where he's like, you don't have to tell police officers, you're a sovereign citizen and all that kind of stuff. So like, I'm going to show you one of his interactions at the border that went right for him, and I'll show you one that went wrong for him. And you'll enjoy.
Let's do it.
Hey.
You a citizen?
Hey, actually, a more important question than that, it's asked one time in the Bible. It's what must I do to be saved? Mm-hmm. And they said, believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, and thou shalt be saved in thy house. So if you got about 10 minutes, I can walk you through that in the Bible and show you how to be saved.
I can't right now.
You can't? Now's not a good time?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Have a good one, sir. Thank you.
Yep. See you later.
First of all, I'll never forgive the Border Patrol guy for letting him back in. But
that's the real L.
That's one that went well for him.
Did he really think this guy was going to be like, yes, I'm on the clock right now, but sure.
I think his goal was to not have to show ID, which he did do. Like the guy never was like, no, I need to see your passport. Just like, no, you're good.
He wanted him. Yeah, he wanted him out of there.
So this is when it goes bad. And this is one of my favorite clips. And again, I've never shared this on the podcast, but I've watched this so many times. So he's at the border, doesn't want to answer any questions.
Let me ask this. Are you placing me under arrest?
You are under arrest.
And what?
And his voice gives the energy of the kid on Polar Express with the glasses. It's like, where's your ticket?
Let me ask this. Are you placing me under arrest?
You are under arrest.
And what crime am I being charged with?
Hey, these guys are telling me that a canine alerted to your vehicle for the presence.
And I've asked repeatedly for that dog to be brought back out because I say that it didn't happen. And they are refusing to get the dog back out because they know that they're not telling the truth.
You can do one.
Because I wouldn't answer their questions, they came up with that.
Or I'm going to take you out of the car.
Well, let me ask this. When you place someone under arrest, don't you have to put them under arrest for something specific?
I'm a police officer. I'm ordering you out of the car.
Will you answer my question, police officer?
Yeah, I'm a police
What are you placing me under arrest for?
Prefer to obey me right now.
So I have to obey you by law?
Yes, you do.
Even when you're stopping me without cause?
Do it, do it, do it.
Hey, close your eyes.
Close your eyes.
Close your eyes.
Oh, this is so good. Thanks for the context there.
I like the caption.
Yeah, Steven.
Hit low right here. You'll be fine. Ready? Yeah. Let's hit it.
It's such a satisfying thing, and I can't. It's such a satisfying thing, and look, I'm not someone that enjoys. Well, that's not true. I enjoy ridiculousness. I enjoy watching people, fall down and things. But
well, he fucked around and he surely found out.
If anybody's ever asked to be tased, it's Steven Anderson. So anyway, I enjoy that.
He really wanted it, actually. He was hoping that would be the outcome because it somehow makes him look like a martyr. A martyr.
Yeah.
Well,
he took it to court. It did get dismissed because there were no narcotics in the vehicle and all that sort of stuff. But he played the system and won and got. But that's okay
because he still got tased, and then the fact that he posted that online, that's so cringe. And I would have muted myself.
For sure. The whimpering.
The whimpering
is good.
He probably pissed his pants too.
Probably. He did. That was one of his clips that was super big. Oh, I wish I had that.
What?
He preached a whole sermon about that he preached a whole sermon about how you should be standing when you're peeing.
Oh God, really?
And God said a man is somebody who pisses against the wall. Did you know this? When I was in Germany, and you're not even going to believe this.
They're right.
See, why are you preaching this?
It's like Dwight Schrute pastoring a church.
I was in Germany.
It's Dwight Schrute energy.
I went to use the restroom in Germany in several different people's houses. I mean, totally different people. And even in public places, they had a sign that prohibited a man from peeing standing up. I'm not kidding. I mean, you can ask, my wife is from Germany, and I was there for 3.5 months. They had a sign in people's house. They had a sign in the public restroom that prohibited, and I'm not going to, it was like a circle and a line through it, and it's no peeing standing up. And I asked my wife, I said, I thought it was a joke. It's like, is that a joke? That's kind of a crude joke. She said, it's not a joke. She said, no man in Germany pees standing up.
Oh, that's so serious. Like,
he really thought
it's just like literally like it's like a tidbit, like a weird factoid.
Pastors who pee sitting down. We got a bunch of, and you say, you're being vile. I'm not. Hey, then God's being vile. God's the one that wrote the Bible.
That's such a good argument.
Where is that in the Bible?
We got pastors who pee sitting down. We got the President of the United States probably pee sitting down. We got a bunch of preachers. We got a bunch of leaders who don't stand up and piss against the wall like a man. And I'm going to tell you something. That's what's wrong with America.
That's what's wrong.
That's it. You don't like an old-fashioned Bible that tells you what being a man's all about? Because it's called the King James Bible. And if you don't like that term, piss against the wall, then you know what? Go to the bookstore this afternoon and buy a new King James. It'll take out that word. It'll take out the word damnation. It'll take out the word hell about half the times. It'll take out the word Jehovah, the name of God. It'll take out anything in the Bible that has any power to it. It'll take out anything that tells you how things are supposed to be. But you know what? 400 years ago, pastors used to stand up and preach that a man needs to be a man.
We need more Steven Andersons because, that's such. There's so many that try. Like Justin Zong is trying to be this, but it's kind of like Trump. I don't like Trump, but he has this quality that's so watchable, and he's such a train wreck.
You know why? It's probably because Justin pisses sitting down.
Oh my God. That's so funny. And you know what's funny is how I post that the war that will start in that denomination. Like the sermon battle back and forth is going to be so
Oh, yeah. I mean, they should do battle of the what the fuck ever that was.
Yeah.
But that's crazy.
good. Yeah.
But
that's
you know,
like,
it's
that's
more
gold.
comfortable to sit down. It's more comfortable to sit down, my guy. Just sit. Maybe
I would
maybe
not
he
know.
should try it.
Just for the record.
Oh. Well, at least
Won't
you're doing
catch me
something right out here.
Doing that.
Yeah.
I only listen to podcasters that piss against the wall.
That's going to be in everybody's bio now, yours included. Pisses against the wall.
It's like they get mad about pronouns, but then like underneath it, we're going to add an extra thing, and it's going to be like pisses against the wall. Check or not?
PATW.
Well, we wiped out.
Those are your pronouns.
We wiped out the border videos really quickly. There's only one of those. That was a very specific category. Racist, culty, or pervy? Which one do you want?
I want none of them, but if I'm forced to choose.
Next segment. There's not really any like helpful ones, you know? It's not like this is like the helpful.
Like which one do we want to make fun of? Okay, let's go with pervy.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that because I have a really good pervy one. This is like
there's so many to choose from. It's actually amazing that you were able to narrow it down.
I mean, I still don't think we'll get through all these, but
there's no way. Yeah,
this one's my favorite. Okay, there's some really crass ones, but like those aren't really fun,
right?
But this one is like kind of like it's a self-report in a really funny way.
Let's do it.
Because so my favorite subgenre. Okay.
Angle here.
So
this is so boomer.
This is Bob Gray. Bob Gray is a pastor who was like a big fan of Jack Hyles, who was like the big. I mean, you've seen him. He's like the big bad boy in fundamentalism.
That's right.
Bob Gray is like his biggest fan. He's written huge books about Jack Hyles. He runs like Jack Hyles book publications. Like he works with Jack Hyles' son, who like nobody else will even touch with a 10-foot pole. Like he's a really weird dude. And this clip is from something he posted to Twitter for like his trainings for pastors. But I love this subgenre because like there's obviously like the pervy pastors that are just pervy, but like then there's a subgenre where it's like I'm gonna just tell everyone I'm a pervert without realizing I'm doing that. And like he gives this example that's supposed to be about holiness and standards for other ministries, but he kind of tells on himself, and I love it. It's such a beautiful moment.
I'll give you this illustration. I've used it all over the country, but I was in the American Baptist denomination. And then I went to Sword Conference and I said, oh my goodness, I know what the Bible says, and I've got to choose those who are going to influence me. Here's what I did. Took my whole family and went to Jerry Falwell's. We pulled up in the parking lot and there was a janitor there. If you want to find out something about a church, just talk to the janitor.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. I have to give context. This is so funny. I didn't realize it till just now. Bob Gray, this is like deep in the lore. Bob Gray works with David Hyles, who's the disgraced son of Jack Hyles, who was like the big pastor. The reason David Hyles is disgraced is because a janitor found a briefcase at one of his churches filled with a bunch of like porn magazines that had ads for swinging with him and his wife at the time. And so it's really funny that he just said, if you want to know something about church, ask the janitor. That's a really
Was that already after David had been exposed for that?
Oh yeah, that happened a while back. Yeah. So that's funny. So he's working with him as of the time of this recording in the video, which is
well, he's not wrong. Well, I'll give him that.
He's right. Yeah. It's just really funny.
Like, why would you say that?
He said that. I just realized that.
And I looked up in the back. I'm trying to decide now.
To find that.
I'm trying to decide. Where am I going to go? I want to be influenced. And in those days, you'd have to understand Jerry Falwell was known as the star of the fundamental Baptist movement. I mean, I'm just telling you, it was not like you know now. I'm talking about way back yonder, buddy. It was a soul-winning outfit. I looked up, and there was a bunch of girls in shorts coming out of the building back there, and the first one standing there had a basketball in her hand. And I said to the janitor, "What is that?" He said, "What? It's a basketball team, girl basketball team." He said, "What's the matter? Can't you see the basketball?" I said, "Not for the shorts." And they had canned music. And I said, no, this is not what I believe in. I believe in character, and I believe in hard work and discipline. So I said, this is not for me.
So that's a good one. But that's
I don't believe in bodies. I don't believe in girls having bodies, man.
I love that the moral of the story is not like I'm a creepy dad going and checking out young girls playing basketball.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys shouldn't be wearing shorts. It's
of course. But I mean, there's the whole verse about plucking your eye out. Why? Again, we're just cherry picking once again.
Why not?
And the way that he speaks is, if I wasn't just numb to it at this point in my life, it would be triggering.
Yeah.
Like everything, it's so weird how similar all of these guys are. Like the way that their mannerisms and the way that they speak and everything is so similar.
I used to get in fights with people about this because like I would say like, oh, they have the preacher voice. And I would say like, even when I was in it, I would just be like, why does everybody have that preacher voice? And they'd be like, they don't, that's their voice. And then you'd like hear them talking after church and they don't sound like that, but they sound like that in the pulpit or on podcasts and stuff. And like you can almost now, cause like I'm so deep down this stupid rabbit trail of all these things, like I can kind of tell who their influences are. Cause like some of them do like the Jack Hyles, like my pastor used to even make fun of it. My pastor then, he would be like, yeah, there were college students, because Jack Hyles would always clear his throat all the time. And so like college students would literally be preaching and do the same, like, and I think that's literally what Bob Gray was probably doing in that clip. Like, it's like they copy paste their personalities onto themselves.
I wonder if that's something that they practice or if it's just a byproduct of who they're idolizing at the time. Because my older brother's a preacher and he does that shit too. He does the throat clearing thing like that.
That is weird. And also too, like, I feel like the accent, like that kind of like camp meeting accent is just like so big.
Yeah.
But
because I think it's a performance. So when they're on stage, they're doing the bit. They're taking on that alter ego.
Well, I'll pause the pervs because there's actually a good clip. If we could just keep them paused for a minute, would be great.
For like forever.
It's funny. I actually pulled this clip for something else, but this is relevant. You're kind of segueing perfectly into clips.
You're welcome.
It's great.
It's what I do.
It's because of both of our brains function in strange ways
and dysfunction.
Yeah, it's chaos for both of us. Perfect. We're both
That's why it works.
Nobody listening is tracking, but this is great. This was a clip I pulled about the whole preacher voice thing, which is so funny.
Sounds like any one of them lords a leaping. In the 12 days of Christmas, you should have moved your membership like last year.
God.
You see, I told you I was going somewhere. You see what we need to learn about Bible preaching that comes from this scene. It's not touchy-feely. It is delivery.
I can attest that there's a lot of touchy-feely preaching.
There is, in fact, so much touchy-feely.
Just to clear it up, that is a tenet of this denomination.
Man, I've never seen a day like today where those who are openly critical towards authoritative and anointed preaching are the same ones, somebody help me tonight, that couldn't preach their way out of a wet paper bag if they tried or their life depended upon it. It's not
how red his face is.
It's delivery. I tell young preachers all the time, get a preaching voice. Nobody wants to listen to somebody that sounds like either Pee Wee Herman or SpongeBob SquarePants.
How did you segue into that? Like,
That's incredible.
It's crazy.
I'd much rather listen to John Wayne teach the Bible throughout the millennial reign of Christ than to listen to an effeminate Pee Wee Herman wannabe quote the Beatitudes. Everybody okay?
Are you?
Not really?
You're turning violet, Violet.
You're turning.
Oh God!
Oh my God!
That's wild. Okay, well,
that Justin guy needs to hear this guy preach personally because he's given Pee Wee Herman.
That's true. That is true.
And also the minimalistic decor in that last one was very similar too, with like the very minimalistic trees and the white background.
But looks a little nicer.
They have more than two. They actually have, I think, 4 maybe.
It's giving.
Trees, so
it's giving Hobby Lobby clearance sale.
100%.
That would be okay. New segment. We're gonna just do interior design for churches.
Yes.
We're like,
yes.
This show has drifted so far where like now I'm helping them improve. Like, let me actually decorate your church and give you a makeover.
And then maybe we could also do wardrobe and fashion design next.
Yes.
I don't know if you follow that page. What is it? Preacher Sneakers, where it's that guy does like shows like the mega church preachers. Watch, Yeah, like their expensive shoes and all of that, their wardrobes and stuff. But maybe we could do a segment where it's just improving their current wardrobe.
Like we're helping them get more fancy clothes.
It builds credibility. When you look sloppy, it's really just not a good look for God. That's just...
You're sounding like one of them now.
Yeah, well, you're going to
dress your best.
Well, you got to look the part if you're going to have the voice. Otherwise, people will think that you piss sitting down, and that's what you want to avoid.
Right.
So, full circle
callback moment. Yeah, Preachers and Sneakers I've reached out to so many times. I'm like, please come on the show. And to this day, have not. So if you're listening to this episode, go comment on their post and tell them to come on my show.
Well, he's liked my comments before, so I feel like we're basically friends.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Neat.
Well, no, actually, I was at the gym.
Thank you so much for coming on. That's the end of today's episode.
Well, I know it's difficult when someone's cooler than you.
Yeah.
So,
true.
No, I was at the gym a couple weeks ago, and it was like in the evening, and they were playing the documentary that had is it the Hillsong? I think it's the Hillsong documentary that he's on. And I was like, what the hell? That's weird. What a weird thing to be playing at the gym.
Yeah, please don't play this here.
I'm like, I can't escape this shit.
It's actually good motivation though, too. So,
I mean, it was cracking me up.
I will say, so I have beef with you actually. Side note.
Get in line. So
for a long time, and I'll pop my artwork up here, people always said my old artwork, people would always be like, you look jacked. You look like a UFC fighter. You look tough. And I feel like you changed your artwork shortly after that to look jacked and
I'm
tough.
so confused.
Hold on. I'm searching.
I'm hearing hints of jealousy, perhaps.
Anger, sadness, jealousy. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
I don't know how to share this, but this is making me upset right now as I talk about it. Let me see. Preacher Boys podcast, because I don't have my artwork on deck, of course.
Of course you
Preacher
do.
Boys podcast. Where's my old artwork? People used to say
about my current artwork.
Yep.
What's copying you?
Yeah.
In my defense, those pictures were taken when I still worked my corporate job 2 years ago.
I want to hear nothing about this. Hold on. Let's share. Here we go. This isn't like a court where you can plead your case. This is just as Justin Zog would say, this is a dictatorship right now.
It is always about blaming women. So it's nice to see you haven't lost that part of yourself.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hold on. And I'm also like a Baptist. I don't know how to use technology.
That tracks.
So this is Eric's old. So this was the picture that was on my artwork.
Okay.
This one, I don't know why it's cutting off like that. I don't know how to do
the
this.
arms crossed.
The arms crossed, cool. Like I'm gonna take it on.
Okay.
I'm gonna take you guys down.
Yeah.
And then with the black and the white and the red and we're going to war. Oh, interesting. That's like the same thing. Oh, arms crossed, angry. We're going to war.
So you're the only one allowed to cross your arms? You have a monopoly on arm crossing?
I'm just saying.
And on colors?
I'm just saying, I don't know when you changed the art, but I'm saying shortly after we collabed, I think maybe you saw my art.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
I'm just saying. Anyway.
I can see why you would think that. Definitely wasn't intentional because I'm I very much like not being like other people. So,
Maybe
and
that's
also,
not-
you know what? Now I'm getting mad because being dark is kind of my vibe. Everyone knows that for the eternity. Black and red and like even now, look at my whole. This is it's who I am.
All right.
Okay.
I originally thought about even actually just putting a side by side like a UFC fight card and just having people vote who looks more intimidating. And I feel like I'm definitely going to do that now. So
okay, well, I feel like maybe you didn't do that because you knew that you would lose.
Yeah, that's also possible. It is true. I feel like you are darker in your overall vibe, and I'm like a goofy, colorful clown that has like a dark podcast artwork picture.
So you're a fraud.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Got it.
Eric exposes the episode.
Your facade is crumbling.
It is.
Well, no, like I said, those pictures are actually the only professional pictures I have. And I took them when I was prepping for my last bodybuilding show, which was about 2 years ago. And I wasn't even my most lean then.
I think you started bodybuilding after you saw my artwork.
First of all, I've been bodybuilding for almost a decade.
That's what happened.
So get off your high horse. No,
have you ever, this is a funny side note. Have you ever seen the Christian bodybuilder shows?
No. And
you're aware that happens, right? That circuit, like the strongman for Jesus stuff.
No.
Oh, okay.
But strongman is different than just bodybuilding. So maybe that's why I haven't seen it.
I don't know. Clearly, I don't know anything about it, but I know my friend invited me when I was in the Baptist world. He invited me to his like evangelical church, and they had like Mighty Men for Jesus or something, and they would literally like rip phone books in half and be like, "I can do all things through Christ." And like, if you've seen Righteous Gemstones, like the camp that he does, like it was like that, like legit.
That's incredible.
Are you looking for salvation? It's 10% inspiration and 99% perspiration.
Which is like every time someone says like Righteous Gemstones is like so funny, and it's like, yeah, but it's also not crazy enough because like there's so many weird things.
Yeah. Or what about who was the preacher like last year or maybe earlier this year that took the baseball bat and was like beating the shit out of the Barbie house on the stage? Do you remember that one?
The stronghold comes down when you demolish it with the Bible.
Greg Locke, former IFB, Greg Locke. He's a clown too, but not in a fun way.
Right, like a creepy one, like a John Wayne Gacy clown.
You know what? I have a John Wayne Gacy clip. No, I'm just kidding. You know what?
It would have been crazy.
I'm going to play this one because your show covers cults primarily. Tell me how culty this feels on a scale of 1 to 10. This is a good one. And I've still got so many clips in my...
First of all, I do cults, crime, and crooked culture.
Yes.
Let's not box me in just because you're mad at me about my post.
Sorry. Cults, crimes, copying others.
The fucking nerve of this guy. You know what? Don't publish this episode because...
Oh, no. If you're watching this, you're on Patreon. Let's see. Where is this? Oh no!
You said it's culty?
It's very culty. How culty is this on a scale of 1 to 10? And I'm so sorry for the music they added. I'm going to go ahead and mute it because it's super loud.
Oh.
So these are 12 different services. How weird is this?
That's my preacher. That's my preacher.
Yeah, great to be here.
That's weird, right?
And also they couldn't be more out of sync and offbeat with
it gets worse and worse.
We don't got to do that, but we ought to be together. Do that together, Nick. Do that together. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. You may be seated. Yeah, that's a great song, Brother Clark. You may be seated. Yeah. Yep.
Yep. It sure is.
Sure is.
Thank you, and you may be seated. Thank you so very much. Yeah, and glad to be. You may be seated. Yeah, you may be seated.
Yeah.
I love how it hypes him up every time too. It's my favorite thing.
Do they say that every time he goes to the pulpit? Is that the ritual?
I guess so. Every time he goes up, they go, "That's my preacher." That's
that
weird,
last one. They had
right?
a little to it. It was like, "That's my." I was like, "Oh God, dang." Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was weird.
It's very culty.
Okay.
It's very culty.
I thought that was a weird one.
As a non-certified expert in this field,
you feel qualified to say
I feel
that is
quite
an odd
qualified.
thing.
Yeah, that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
If it's not culty, it's at least fucking weird.
Yeah, at the very least. Yeah, I saw that clip for the first time recently and was like, interesting.
That's going to be one of those things that stays in my brain. So now for the next 5 to 7 business days, I'm going to be walking around going, that's my preacher. It's kind of catchy. I kind of see why they like it.
That's my podcaster. I'm start having people call in and record. That's my podcaster. Go home. That's my wife. That's my daughter. Just call out everybody you see.
Everything. That's my dinner. Like everything.
Just identifying objects in the room.
It's like I love lamp.
I love carpet. I love desk.
Brick, are you just looking at things in the office and saying that you love them?
I love lamp.
Do you really love the lamp, or are you just saying it because you saw it?
I love lamp.
Yeah, now that's going to be stuck in my head now. Okay, so
great.
That's a couple clips. I have a couple more.
I was going to say, isn't there? Do we do racist yet? We haven't done racist.
Do you want a racist one?
Not really, but yeah, sure, let's do it.
Well, you're like, we haven't gone down
because what I'm not going to do is say I'm not going to say that phrase and then you come back later and clip that down to
Give
say
me the racist one.
Exactly.
We want racism.
Right.
Okay, do you want moderately racist or severe? Moderate or severe racism?
Go big or go home.
Okay. Are you sure?
No. Not at all, but
this guy is the most racist guy in the IFB history.
Oh, geez.
So this is a compilation. Shout out to Bad Sermons on Twitter. This is Peter Ruckman. He was like he had a really big cult following in Pensacola, but like Bad Sermons cut in a bunch of clips of current day pastors that like his work. So it's like a little mashup. I think he made this for what would have been his
cute
birthday, I think. But
I'll tell you why I never joined the Ku Klux Klan.
Okay, we're off to a good start.
Wow. Straight out the gate.
I'll tell you why I never joined the Ku Klux Klan. It's because they're anti-Semitic. And that's the only reason I didn't join.
That's a bridge too far.
I agree with everything else they say.
But if you wanted to call me a Ruckmanite, that'd be all right. I love Dr. Ruckman.
So this is like
a Yankee come down here. First time a Yankee come down south, he thinks all the Southerners talk like but they don't. They don't. I mean, I've been there a long time. It's not the same. It's not the same accent.
You just flash back to 2 minutes ago where you're like, severe, go big or go home.
I regret it. I regret it so.
This is so big he can't pronounce the words. And he say, they try to talk like a white man. First, they say, get your chicken bones. No Southerner says bones. Down where I am, the fellas down there, in Florida, they say shrimp. They can't say shrimp. They say shrimp. And the ones from Georgia say shrimp. So you got shrimp and shrimp, but you can't get a shrimp.
What's always craziest about these clips is the people that you can hear in the audience like laughing or saying amen.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God, it's not just a crazy uncle.
I wonder how they say racist. I wonder how they say that.
And you white people have a distinctive odor. And if you talk to an honest, he'll tell you it's like a wet chicken. That's what he'll say. Or sometimes they call you turkey. And a black man has a smell. And an Oriental has a smell.
Say, Dr. Ruckman would say, he said, I heard him say this on a recording. He said,
now this one's black, this one's white, that one's brown. And this one here may vary. I mean, normally most black people are not really black. They're brown. They're dark brown. But a real thoroughbred I'm a thoroughbred of Nigerian. A real thoroughbred from the Chad. They're black. And I mean just as black as shoe polish, boy. Just black. They're black.
So go big or go home is what you said.
That's one of my poor decisions that I've ever made.
That's a really special clip.
I hate you for honestly even making that an option. I will never forgive you.
In retrospect, you know what? So like, I think this honestly was a really good test of this format. I think in future, I probably won't close on racist.
That's probably for the best.
Because it's like a weird one to like watch and then be like, all right, what's your social handle so people can connect with you after the show?
If you look closely, actually, you could probably see my ears are bleeding.
Like bright red.
They're actually, there's blood coming out of them.
Yeah.
That was painful. God. But accurate representation, unfortunately.
But also like, it's one of those things too, where you're like, I mean, they said that.
Yeah. Straight
and
up.
And also, it's like, because like that's sometimes people are like, oh, you take stuff out of context. And I'm like, I don't know what context I can squeeze this into. You know what? Okay, I'm going to give you one more. I'm going to give you one more that's like just light and dumb. Palate cleanser.
Yeah. I love light and dumb. As a woman, that's what we're known for.
That's my LinkedIn profile. He's dumb. Light and dumb. Okay. Light and dumb. So this is at Fairhaven, the Christian college, and this is teaching about the danger of the rock beat. Light, dumb, palate cleanser. There's my teacher.
So
there's my teacher.
Okay, so music employs a weak, strong sequence. A weak, strong sequence. Now, the rock music, what it does is it pulses where in the opposite place that good music pulses. I know even
science.
You kind of get into it. I know it's wrong, but you kind of go to big basketball games or something, and they'll do the you know,
sounds like he's very familiar with the song.
You know,
I don't know.
Like,
yeah, right. It's his favorite.
But you're like, can I get into this a little bit because I'm not at a rock concert and I'm at a basketball game? Okay, I remember being there as a kid more, and you're like,
sure.
You know, that's like weak, strong. Okay, and what it does is you kind of get into that. And what they do is they pulse in the wrong places. They pulse in the wrong places.
So something educational is that rock music does weak, strong.
Weak, strong.
Pulsing.
Like, for example, that's my preacher.
That's my preacher.
That's my preacher. Weak, strong. Yeah.
Well, that's my guess, Kendra. Where can people connect with you, find you? Now that there's a palate cleanser, now that they're not thinking about like just sadness about the state of fundamentalism in humanity.
I really don't want people finding my pages.
The state of humanity.
If you want to be more sad, I really don't want people finding my page with racism on the mind. Although,
you've exposed racists, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, which is weird because when I do expose some racist shit, I will have people in the comments say, I pinned a comment on one of my videos where someone said, just because of you, I'm going to go be more racist now.
Wow.
I said,
something tells me they didn't need your help to be more racist. I think they
were already going to do it. You were already going to do it. But if that's what you need to justify it, anyway, Instagram is at the Kindra B. But in full transparency, I've pretty much switched over to posting mainly on YouTube these days, doing long form content. That's what I enjoy more. My storytelling is better over there. And I do interview some people from cult backgrounds, but a lot of what I'm doing or what I've been doing recently is kind of independent research on stories and writing out the scripts, because I can do more jokes and wordplay and things like that that make it more digestible for a lot of people, because they're such heavy topics that it's a way, like you said in the beginning, I can make fun of these shit bags and tell these crazy stories, but with a sense of levity that makes it just, easier to digest while still being very informative and building community. So YouTube and everywhere else is Kendra Lee Bryan. That's pretty straightforward. Handle Lee is the middle name. So you can find me over on there. The podcast is called Culture Shock. It's also on Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, all pretty much everywhere. All of the places. So that's where you can find me.
Yeah. No, and like I said at the beginning, like I think for even just creating content, like it's, I was joking earlier about like the arms crossed, we're going to take it on. It's like that vibe of content is like so important, but like it also, for my own sanity creating content, it's like, it's nice to just laugh and be like, these guys are idiots, and like having room for both is great. And I think it's a reason like I said, I don't watch a lot of true crime content just because I use that mental headspace for my own show most of the time, and then I'm done. But some of the stuff you put together on like weird fringe cults and stuff like is just entertaining and fun to watch. So I definitely recommend it to anybody who's listening. And hopefully it's not the last time we see you on the show.
Well, based on your track record, it might actually
be.
But
I don't even know if this happened, actually. I'm going to text you when I get home.
Is this a fever dream? But yes, I think we should collab again and do more stuff like this. I enjoy it, and I appreciate the change from the norm. And like I said, I think before we start recording, sometimes I don't want to talk about my story anymore. Not because it doesn't matter, but because there's a lot of other things to talk about. And I don't want to live in that headspace of my own trauma and the things I've kind of moved past all the time. So stuff like this is a little, oddly enough, a palate cleanser, question mark.
People are watching back at the clips like, wow, if this is your palate cleanser, it was really messed up.
And it was, you're right.
but that's the thing too, is like I am just a different person now. Like like you said, you've spent more time out, or the same amount of time out as you did in. So it's like, you want to bring up the references that you like now, or the jokes that you would make now. Like it's, instead of just going back to like, what did I think as a 16-year-old? It's like, who wants to
there's
go
a time and a place for it, but it's not all the time. It's becoming less and less. And that's what's best for my own mental health. And, that's just where I am in life. I don't want to live in that headspace all the time. So I like doing stuff like this. So let's do it again.
Sweet. Sounds
if you
good.
remember.
If I remember.